Namaste everyone, I am Sapna Rana Rawat, a yoga teacher who is based in Dubai. And in this session and in the following session of basically it's a session of 4 videos. So I will be covering the Kunjal and Trataka. So before I talk about Kunjal and Trataka, it is important to understand Shatkarma because these two are Shatkarmic practices. So it's important you understand what is Shatkarma. Shatkarma or Shatkriya basically means 6 yogic techniques. Okay? Shat means 6, Kriya or Karma refers to the yogic techniques. And when we are talking about Shatkarma, we are talking about the cleansing practices. So if you have to define Shatkarma in one word, it will be cleansing or purification. And in different practices, in these 6 practices, we basically cleanse some or the other part internally basically. So let's understand what are these 6 kriyas. We'll not get in deep. I'll just talk about the names. I'll just cover the names. So the 6 yogic techniques under Shatkarma are Neti, Dhoti, Noli, Basti, Kapalbhati and Trataka. And as I said, we have to cover Kunjal and Trataka. So Kunjal is also known as Vaman Dhoti, and Vaman Dhoti is categorized under Dhoti. So when we say 6 yogic practices, it does not mean rigid 6, there are only 6 practices. No, there can be multiple yogic practices under the same category. Like in Dhoti, we have Vaman Dhoti, which I am going to cover. There can be a Vastra Dhoti. When I talk about Neti, it can be Jal Neti, it can be Sutra Neti. So there can be multiple practices under the same head. So basically there are 6 heads. So 6 yogic techniques which can further be categorized in different, multiple practices. So in this, we will basically confine our discussion to Kunjal, which is Vaman Dhoti, and Trataka. So we understood Shatkarma means cleansing practices, purification. That means Vaman Dhoti, that is Kunjal, and Trataka will also be cleansing technique. Correct. So now let's understand what they basically clean. So when we talk about Kunjal, Kunjal basically comes from the word Kunjar. It changed to Kunjal. I don't know how it changed to Kunjal basically, but the original name was Kunjar. It came from the Kunjar word. So probably because of the usage, it changed. So whatever may be the reason, let's just understand what the process is. In Kunjal, what you do is you have lot of water, warm water. It's not warm, it should be hot. Sorry. So if you consume lot of hot water and then you do voluntary vomiting. The process basically, and then of course there are a lot of things. It's not as simple as I'm talking. There are a lot of things that you have to bear in mind while doing this. That we'll cover in the next video when I'll demonstrate. But yes, the practice involves voluntary vomiting after having lot of hot water. Now, what you are cleaning here? So when you do this, the stomach gets cleaned along with the upper digestive tract covering your food pipe basically. So that whole passage, the food pipe, the stomach gets cleaned. So how it helps? It helps with the stomach issues. So if you are facing with the acidity problem, gas, constipation, if there is any imbalance in Vata Pitta Kapha, along with that, if you are facing difficulty with cough, if there is congestion, cough in the throat, and then if there is asthma, so this practice can be very beneficial. So this was just therapeutic aspect, but yoga primarily was a precautionary measure, right? Because so you do it as a precaution so that you don't get any disease. So if you do not have any of these problems, even then you must do Kunjal so that you keep your stomach clean. So that's about Kunjal. So you basically clean your stomach and upper digestive tract, consuming a lot of water in one go and then puke it out. Now let's talk about Tratak. What do we do in Tratak? So in Tratak basically we gaze at an object. We gaze at an object without blinking our eyes. So it's a constant gazing, a steady gaze at an object without blinking till the point the eyes get watered before basically reaching that point. So so tears should not roll down your eyes. Before that happens, till that point you have to keep gazing at an object. So that is what we do basically in Tratak. Tratak can be external Tratak, internal Tratak. Okay, so internal gazing or external gazing. We will basically confine our discussion to external gazing. We will not take it to internal gazing because this session is basically meant for the beginners. So yeah, so we'll confine our discussion to external gazing. That means the object that we are looking at is external. Okay, when we talk about internal gazing, it's basically done with the closed eyes. So basically keeping your eyes closed, you focus at a point. Now what are we cleansing here? Again, so when you look at the practice, you get to know that you are cleansing the eyes. And Tratak basically is very helpful for the people who have eye problems. In Hatha Yoga Pradipika, it is said that if you are practicing Tratak regularly, all your eye problems can be resolved. So you can get rid of all your eye problems, you can get rid of your spectacles. It is that powerful. But the process is not just limited, the Tratak is not just limited to the eye problems. It is very effective physiologically and mentally. It improves your focus, it prepares you for higher practices, it improves your concentration, and it improves your sleep. So mentally also, if you are facing difficulties, if you have anxiety, you are facing difficulty in sleeping, Trata can be very helpful. So so that's what we do in Tratak. So you now know what is Tratak in simple sense. You know what is Kunjal, what do we do, what we cleanse. Now let's understand why should we do it. Why? So as I said, these are cleansing practices. So how now when you look at your day-to-day activity, what do you do when you get up in the morning? You go to the bathroom, you brush your teeth, you take bath, you get fresh, you excrete. So you do all these things. Why do you do that? To keep your external body clean. And now let me ask you, what if you don't do these things at all? What if you do not take bath for years? How will you feel? You will feel dirty, right? You'll not feel good. So just think about what is happening internally. How would you be your system internally? It is dirty. So with Shatkarma practices, you basically clean your internal system. And I of course I'm not a very big yogi or something, but with my own experience and what I have read from the books of great yogis, they consider these Shatkarmic Kriyas very important. If you are seeing yoga, if you are considering yoga as a spiritual practice, your Hatha Yoga cannot be complete without Shatkarma. It will always be incomplete. If you are a Hatha Yoga practitioner, you must learn and practice Shatkarma, because a cleansed body, a clean body, externally, internally, is needed to practice higher practices of yoga. In fact, you may not be able to attain the maximum benefits of yoga if you are not practicing Shatkarma. I'll tell you one thing. I'm very happy that I'm going to cover Kunjal and Trataka in this session. I've been given this topic because this is my personal favorite. Not just these two, Shatkarma as a whole is my personal favorite aspect of yoga, because I'm a regular practitioner of Shatkarma and I know how it influences my body. And sharing, talking about these two practices with you all, encouraging you to practice, learn and practice these kriyas through my session is something that I am very excited about, and I'm honestly very fortunate that I'm going to cover these two topics for you all. Though I'm going to demonstrate the kriyas for you, I'm going to talk about precaution measures, everything. But I highly recommend that when you learn these kriyas, you must learn it under the guidance of a teacher. The instructor must be there, be it first preference face to face, if that is not feasible, live session, that so that the instructor can see you. And when you are learning this kriya, always go for a good teacher who's not just familiar with the practices but who practices these Shatkarma techniques personally also. So yeah, that's what I would recommend, because if you read about it in the yogic texts, be it any yoga books you see, Hatha Yoga Pratipika, or the Asan Pranayam Mudra Bandh, or the even in Yogic Sukshma Vyayam by Dhirendra Brahmachari, in all the books it's written that these are very secret practices. It should not be shared or learned this way. You must learn it under the guidance of a teacher, and it should not be just the yoga teacher, it should be yoga guru. So that means when you talk about yoga guru, you're talking about a person who has an expertise in the practice. So yeah, that would be my recommendation. And one thing before I conclude this video, these are, as said, these are very powerful practices. If do learn it with wholeheartedly, and when you are learning it, just remember that though Kunjal is cleansing your stomach and Tratak is cleansing your eyes, but their effect is not just limited to the stomach or eyes. They have huge impact in different areas. For example, when I'm talking about Kunjal cleansing the stomach, when your stomach is cleansed and if you are practicing Kunjal regularly, what is ultimately going to happen? It curbs your craving. Okay, so it curbs your craving. So and people who are addicted to smoking, drinking, any sort of addiction, basically they can get rid of their addiction, because addiction is what? It's a form of craving. You feel like drinking, you feel like smoking, so it curbs your craving. If you have the habit of eating outside, eating junk, it will curb your craving. You will not feel like eating junk at all. You are eating junk because your stomach has become a dustbin, and whatever you feed inside, you're not feeling anything. But the moment your stomach will become clean, you will not like, the feeling of eating junk. So the awareness towards what you are eating, what you are putting in your mouth, that increases, and that will basically increase your awareness about whatever you are eating. And then it basically, so I hope you understood what I want to say, that it curbs your craving. And if it curbs your craving, you don't feel like eating unnecessarily. You don't feel like you will just stop any addiction that you have. And you will just enjoy that light, clean feeling inside you, and that will really help you in progressing in your spiritual path. Similarly for Trataka, if it is not just cleansing of your eyes, it will improve your focus. And if you are focused, you will do better in the higher practices like meditation and all. So that's about Kunjal and Trataka in brief. We will understand how to do the kriyas and the caution that you need to bear in mind, along with the benefits in detail, in the videos to come. Thank you so much for watching. Namaste.